Hello, and welcome to the Comics Experience Graphic Novel of the Month Club meeting for this is August, right? This is August. I get confused. I'm juggling 4 books at a time. Our book this month is the wonderful My Pretty Vampire, and we have the wonderful artist of this book, Katie Skelly, here. She's here. Hi. So, let's ask you some questions about comics. Let's. I love starting like this. Why comics? What is it about comics? The language of comics that speaks to you as a creator.
I think it combines everything that I love, which is drawing and telling stories. Like that's the most basic answer, but that's what it is. I have a long history with comics. I have loved comics forever. I kind of learned how to read by reading comics. Yeah. My dad owns a stand in Pennsylvania. And so he would bring comics home for me to read, like old ones that like didn't sell or whatever, like stuff with like covers torn off, that kind of thing. And so yeah, like I was kind of struck with like literacy, and comics really helped me learn how to so just like the blend of art together. It's just like it's kind of how I understand language now. Yeah. So comics is like in my DNA.
Yeah. So a newsstand, that's an interesting thing that for dad to own is he doesn't still own it.
Oh, he still has it. Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's still in business. Yeah.
Wow, because newsstands, I mean, they're even rarer than comic shops these days. Yeah.
It's definitely like I don't think it's gonna be around because it is definitely a tough racket. Selling like 50 cents is kind of hard to get bills with. And he's been doing it so long, he'll finally retire soon. But yeah, I used to have to work there like every Saturday since I was 13.
Right.
So yeah, it's like it's a big
Yeah. What kind of comics did he bring you?
I would be like old hard.
Nice.
So like Little Devil and like Casper and Little
Lulu, yeah.
Was she? There was a witch too.
The little witch is Audrey, the good witch.
Yes, so I'd read her, and like there was just something about that like blend, like cute and charming and funny that like I ingrained, and then like came out it's like totally perverse way like 30 years later. But yeah, like I just love that style so much. I still.
Yeah, those characters too. They're all, not all of them. A lot of them have just these crazy obsessions about things, which is great for comedy, But like if you step back and you look at like you're reading about a dead baby, and like this rich millionaire kid, and they're just very strange concepts.
It's very true, and like all of the characters, it's very straightforward. It's like the outfit is this, what they're doing is this, like, and I think that has kind of like pushed through in my stuff. It's like they have a uniform, like they do this one thing specifically, like suck blood or nurse in outer space or have a motorcycle. I like to keep it simple.
So that makes a lot of sense. When did you know that comics were the thing that you wanted to do?
I think like from Jump Street, like as soon as it became this part of my consciousness, like more than anything else, more than like film or TV or all these other things that I'm obsessed with, it was like comics was the most accessible, like because you didn't need anything, you just needed like pen and paper. And so I would draw crazy like Mickey Mouse cartoons and stuff. There's like Bananas one that I found years ago, like Mickey and Minnie are having a picnic. And like the sun just keeps getting bigger. It's like totally meant to 6 or 7. I think it was that, and then like just stayed with me throughout my life. Even I didn't choose comics to like study to like as a profession. I didn't go to school or anything because for as like nice and supportive as my parents were when I was like 5, that changes when you're like 25. They're like, oh,
sure,
so I studied art history. I have this like weird like back entry to comics. And I made crazy ones in high school too. They were great. Right. I thought they were really clever. They are not. And then but I had something to say. And then I did them in college too.
Yeah.
I went to Syracuse University, and they have a daily newspaper, like like old school, like newsprint. Needed stuff to print every day, and I was like, "This is my end," because they need content. They can't say no.
Sure.
You know. So yeah, and I feel like that sort of like attitude is carried with me since then. Just like, well, you gotta have something.
Right.
I can do it. You know. So yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So no formal training of any kind.
I had a little bit.
Okay.
When I was 17, I went to art school for like a month. It was just like a summer program in Philadelphia. And I learned life drawing, sculpture, printmaking, something like that.
Okay.
Who cares? But so the biggest thing for me was just learning life drawing. And like once I did that, I was like, well, everything else I'll just figure out. Perspective, still don't know how it works. I may never know, and that's okay. They didn't. Right? So you know, it's like I just kind of learn as I go, sort of. And so my style has changed a lot last few years. I think it just keeps developing, getting stronger and more dynamic and better. So yeah.
So how much do you think craft matters in the production of comics versus just sort of raw passion about
I mean, I definitely think you should sort of kind of know what you're doing, because you know people don't want to, so like don't style. I don't think, like, for me, I think just like looking around in this shop here, it's like my style is so idiosyncratic, and yet like still have people coming to the book club and people still buy it, and I get to work with Fantagraphics and all this cool stuff. So I feel like I think the passion just drives development of art. So I think that's definitely most important. But you should like try. Yeah. You should definitely like work hard.
Yeah. You do your comics digitally first, as I understand it, and then you release them digitally for free, right?
I do sometimes.
Okay.
But for the most part, the big thing for me has been doing e-comics. So like with My Pretty Vampire, I started out doing it black and white, and just like how I used to do all my, which is just like Xerox them and then take small press shows and be like, so this is me, and then they do, and that's great. But like I got through 2 books that way. I did Listeners that way, and I did Operation Heart that way, and then I started doing Vampire that way, and I was like, why am I not stepping up? Like I've built foundation. Like it's time to like push myself further. So I started doing them big, like that size now, and doing color and like getting it together enough to like go to a print shop, like together in color, like all. So, and that ended up being. So yeah, but I'll put them online too, but pretty much like any comics for now, like sort of
When you do the digital comic, and I don't mean to get up business, right? But when you do the digital comics, is there a way that you're monetizing that at all, or is it just acting as a business card essentially?
It's definitely a little bit of that, but like I'll do, like I used to work for Slut I Stuff, so I do erotic stuff for them and get paid to sell them, and then I do them in print, and then I get paid again, and then like now we're going to do a collection of them, so it's like I get paid over again. So I just try to like work, because you know I have a full-time job, and getting the time to make comics is hard, and so that's another reason why, like, for me it's important to step up each time I do them, so I can just make sure that once it's done I can get paid on different, like, variety of ways.
So full-time job, when do you do your comics? and how do you do that and have a life? I suppose is the next question.
Such a hard question. I don't.
I don't mean to make you feel bad, right? Yeah.
No, I mean I have a pretty good life. Like I have a pretty good like social life, I would say. I don't feel like these days I don't feel like I am sacrificing as much, because like I said, it's like I worked really hard at the beginning to like learn the style, develop it. So now it doesn't feel like I have to crank as many gears to get the work done. So the way that I schedule it is I like have a Google calendar. It's like my like master plan. Like, okay, I need to get some number of pages done by this date, and then this done this date. And so it's a lot of like after work, and then it's a lot of weekends. But I feel like this is true for any project that I do. It's like you can say like, okay, I have 8 weeks to do this. You're gonna get the most work done in like the last 2 weeks. Like that's just what's gonna happen.
Sure.
But that ends up being a good thing because you have to just like have to develop it so much faster. You know? So I think being in just kind of
when you're actually producing the work, are you like what's your rate? How fast are you creating? Are you doing a page a day, or is it?
I try
longer?
to do that.
Yeah.
I try to do that, but it's also like I'll do a page and then just be like, well, there's 1 or 2 panels that like I just don't know how I'm gonna do it, or it's like too different that time. Like you get like mental blocks around things where you're just like, I can't today. Like it's just get out of my life. So I'll put that aside and then like just start on the next one. And then now it's like you scan it, you've got to color it, you've got to make sure that your colors are consistent, whole thing. And so for like a project like this that took 2 years, it can get a little bit scary because you have to not only remember like where am I in the story, but like what was I doing color scheme wise, and how do I have to like design the page, and just it's insane. And I always forget how like crazy I get, and then I like look back to like some of my like old emails like in February when I was turning this in, and I was like everything is just like strung together sentences and like nothing is making any sense, and I'm like, yeah, I legitimately like I completely insane. So that's where like the social stuff for sure. Friends are
Sure.
Thankfully.
Sure. Do you see a point where you transition to being a full-time cartoonist that's what you make your living?
Like right now. And you know, there are like some things that I feel like the country sort of needs to adopt before like I'll be comfortable with that. Like if we have universal health care, like if that's taken care of, like that takes so much. I mean, everybody wants that, right?
Sure.
So I feel like that's the baseline because you know I'm a person like I need to be healthy, and so that's why I gotta log to just to like cover 6. And then I also live in New York, which is crazy expensive. I'm not married to it forever, but you know that's where the type that I do day job where it's like center. So the way that it's structured right now, I can't really see it, but I don't know if that's like it's kind of something I need to like sell, which is hard. It's hard enough to go through those moments of like I'm insane at the end of the book, and then also think that's
right.
You know, in a way, it's kind of nice to just have sometimes. Like it's a Monday. I know what I'm doing on a Monday, not just like my God, I'm gonna be up till 4, just like yelling at threshold in Photoshop. Like, what kind of life is that? You know, so it's all this like very strange.
Right.
Somehow it's. So I don't want to mess with the formula too.
Well, you've gone from self-publishing your mini comics to Ad House to Fana now, and Fana's a high-class joint. Yeah. Right. You know. Yeah.
I'm trying to take it down. Yeah. No, they're awesome, and like, I was somebody earlier at the signing, and it's like at the level that I'm at, it's like Fanta's top company, and it feels really good and crazy to like, you know, this book came out at like the same time that Dave a huge school, and I shouldn't have been reading it for sure. But that happened at the same time. It's like something's working. Don't quite know how or why, but
how did you get hooked up?
I just super forever because Fanta as a publisher, it's like, not only do I see artists of my generation coming up and it being like a milestone in there, but like just comics as a medium, as a form, general, like publications that come out of there have shaped what to me.
Absolutely.
And so, just followed them forever and kind of got on the car. And I started pitching to them like end of 2015 with like black and white stuff. And they were like, this is cool, but we're not sure we're like connecting with it yet.
Right.
And I was like, what's the problem? I'm like, gotta retool it better. So then I went back. So, yeah.
So are you working as you create your work without an editor? What's your feedback from other people? I mean, what's your sounding board, right? Because it seems to me that sounding boards are always really valuable when you're doing comics.
Yeah. I with Sparkplug, with AdHouse, with Fantagraphics now, I haven't had anybody step in and say like change this part of the story. Like that's great. The only things I've got are just like, this panel type or like lettering a little messed up here. So it's really kind of hands off at this point. And every now and then, like I'll do a variant cover for Image or something, and like that's so much more like there's so much more hands on, and I'm like, first of all, how dare you? And second of all, but it's like that's a different way of working, and that's a good way of working. So like I would like to get, but I think that I will as time goes on. But it feels hard because it's like I feel like I get to be treated as this like just little auteur,
right?
And it's like maybe a little bit more.
Yeah. So when you're getting notes back from Image on the cover, you should head a 3/4 shot or something like that, right? Yeah. How is that how do you work with that?
I get mad.
You get mad. Okay. All right.
No, I don't get super mad, but I'm just sort of like
sure.
I get frustrated, and it's also like you have to learn like here's what your fee covers, and it's going to cover a certain number of edits, and it's going to cover basically this amount of time, and I don't work that way.
Right.
Like, I get like in advance and off I go, and then I start royalties, and like this is a different thing because it's not my stuff. It's not like I did a couple of variants for Valiant. So that was just like a ton of stuff. It's crazy. So yeah, I've learned from it.
Yeah.
Thing.
Right.
And
well, that was gonna be my next question. Is when you get those notes, are you like, I'm totally amazing and they're just like wasting time, or is it, I totally see why they think that maybe that is better, and then that changes something about the way that you create from. Yeah,
for sure. But it's also like it's not my stuff.
Sure.
So you kind of have to be like, well, who am I to say that like faith is like some stuff,
right,
like
right.
that's how it should be. It's the character. So yeah, I don't know if I have like a ton of sure in that world, but it's definitely been a good learning experience. Be a little bit less precious.
Interesting. I have a bunch more questions, but I thought let's go to the room to see if there's anything anyone wants to ask. Yes, please. So color, just because the mic probably didn't pick that up. Color palettes.
Yeah. Well, I think because this was sort of my first like big project in color, I just really wanted to go like full hog and do as much as I possibly could. And when I do color work, I tend to just like study specific palettes from influences that I really like. And so this one, I was looking a lot at giallo film, Italian history, films from the 70s. So like something like Suspiria or Bird of the Crystal Plumage, like Dario Argento, Fulci, all that kind of stuff. And literally just like grabbing a still from my like Suspiria DVD and just moving it into Photoshop, just being like, this is, and just like figuring that out. And the thing that stood out so much to me was just like the like and yellow together are so awesome. I was like, this is so good. I can do a whole book of this. And so kind of did. And I also really wanted to do like pages because I just felt like, I finally have the budget. Let's do this. Like, this is everything that I've always wanted to do. And I wanted it to look like something that was a little bit like time out of place, but I didn't want to age it like on purpose, like do like gradients or dots.
Yes. Yes, I know.
You guys know it's the comic book shop. You guys know. I didn't want to do that because I feel like it's kind of a bad faith thing. Like it's not from that time period, but I just want to evoke that. So yeah, a lot of 70s horror that just seems.
Want to follow up on that, or?
Yeah. I just tend to think my stuff is best when it's just flat spot color. Just because the way that I draw, like, it doesn't really evoke a lot of depth. So to kind of like add too much gradient and too much tone to it, I think takes a. So
your influences here are, as just pointed out, are very kind of clear. Right? A lot of 70s stuff. That's my generation. So what filled what built your fascination with that?
I go through phases of like different time periods that I really like. When I started, I was looking at like mid to late 60s science fiction and stuff like Barbarella. I'm really enjoying that. And the Barbarella are spot colored. They're super, super cool. So kind of went through that phase and then like wanted to do something that was going to look like Russ Meyer, just like black and white, like Faster Kill, that. And then I don't know, for whatever reason, it's like they just found home in looking at Italian horror from the 70s. I was like, something so evocative about this and so like still this now. It's basically like my process is just being like, what can I get away with this time?
Sure. I just like looking at you guessing your age, it's 20 years before your time. So what exposed you to those things in the first place that made that an attractive?
I think, well, I mean, I'm just kind of like a big film nerd, and like that had always been kind of like late in my mind. But I think I started watching movies by Jean Rollin, who's a French vampire movie director from the 70s. And he's so weird. He's a super weirdo. All of his stuff is very poetic and it's gorgeous. It makes no sense. He made like 100 vampire movies. A lot of them have like softcore elements to them because that was how he got paid to make them. And I was like, there's something so beautiful and so evocative about these. The path to getting there was kind of like just film, finding giallo, and then starting to get really into like reading the horror theory, and then starting to read about this guy Jean Rollin, and like this like weirdo guy who made hundreds and hundreds of movies and made like novels about his characters. Again, they make no sense either. But it's like this is somebody who is so dedicated and like so obsessed with like this one theme. It's like that's so. I wonder what it would be like to get into that sort of like headspace for a little while, you know. So yeah.
Yeah. So you agree that art style that you seem to gel. Style. Did that change?
It's hard to say. It's like the way that I work is I just kind of have like an outline of ideas, and it's just kind of like I know sort of kind of how I'm going to get point A to point B, but as I'm working, it feels like that's not going to be interesting anymore. Like I'll change it. And so, in the process of making these, it's like with kind of every project that I do now, it's like I close like the doors in my mind to like only watch genre who specifically like just watch. That's like see, but I can't help but like constantly do that. But you know, it's me. I'm not just gonna tell stories. So yeah, I just try to like look at the genre, going to see what I. Yeah, it's constantly changing. I wish it was struck. Trying writing. I'm writing a new one. Like I'm sitting back, and I'm doing it, and I think it's going well. But I just know I'm gonna like out want to do it because I like that spontaneity. It's cool, you know.
Do you now that you're in with Fana, does that mean that first look at your next book, or how does that part of the process work? Do you think, or do you even know at this point?
I mean, I want to keep working for sure. So yeah, I'll definitely give them a look. And I think we have some stuff to talk about now. So yeah, I love working with them, and I feel like I could do 200 more with Fantagraphics. But it's also like, you know, where do you kind of go when you're me after Fantagraphics? Like, do I like go start like pitching stuff to Marvel, like, or you know, I could go to like an Image, you know, but it's also like my people I feel like are like Fantagraphics people, and so if I did something for Image, it's like cool and it goes on my CV and like that's awesome. But it's like, am I going to be able to find Image? Not to say that I see them and I respect them, but it just feels like is that because it's all been so up,
Sure,
you know, it's like skip for once. So yeah, yeah, hopefully a bunch. And I love them because they're not afraid to just like throw money at a crazy idea.
sure.
You know, it's like I'm somebody that had 2 books with like little publishers, and they're like, yeah, we'll do hardcover, do full color, and we'll do this print one, and you know, send you where you want to go and do whatever. And it's like it's crazy. Like
Well,
that's
but it works out. We picked it as our.
I know. I'm so happy.
Club, right?
I know.
You know, I mean,
I know.
My guess is we probably bought 10% of the print run at
That's
least.
awesome.
You know?
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
You know, yeah. I mean, that's how it works in comics.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, sure.
Sarah.
So you were thinking from different as inspiration. I enjoy and how see to playing various tropes. And I'm just wondering, like, I'd love to hear like how you play with those things.
Yeah, thank you. Cool. Well, the character Clover is definitely straight out of Berlin. Like he loved the blonde, like sapphic, like that's like all you have to do is look at that. But I also wanted to like, you know, look at sort of like Italian suspense. So that's why it's like you throw a tech in there, and he's super hard boiled. It's like I back and I'm like, oh, that's I also like love Melville. I wanted to have Melville to it. And then also like they go to the like drug party in what's basically Williamsburg, just and looking at that, I'm like, oh, that like I was thinking about American Psycho, you know, and like these ideas of like going into these like super rarefied spaces and acting totally horribly, like that comes out that way. So I think it all kind of blends into like that sort of horror, like suspense. But when I really like sit down and put this stuff all over, and I also put stuff in, you know, like Nowhere, the bar, like bar, and it's always at trouble, and like it's really funny. So yeah, it's even like the design of Nowhere. That's not what it looks like. It's like in Suspiria, you know. So yeah, it's just like big stuff. There is.
I was gonna, yeah, I was actually gonna repeat that one because he's a little far from the mic. Why did you choose My Pretty Vampire as the title?
There is a French yay song, so like a lot of my French yay, my chanson. It's very like poppy, fun, catchy, 60s, 70s France. There's a song called Jolie. It's a woman singing. She's like, it's like, I was like, that's so good. Like, and I wanted it to be a possessive title too, like in reference to brother. So in this weird way, even though it's about like a young woman kind of like developing and finding agency, that sort of like isn't always around.
The other two books, they're also song titles, I think, or were they song title? I mean, was that coincidence as opposed to?
Well, Nurse, I wanted it to sound like something that had translated very strangely.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted it to sound like it had, back when I was working on it, I was like, oh, I want to like put like Katsuhana on it, say like Sutsu or something, and it's like that's not. So I'm glad I didn't do that. And then Operation Margarine is actually an essay by Roland Barthes in the Mythologies compilation. And it has nothing to do with the story at all. Operation, like the idea of an Operation Margarine is like using the faults of something to like, exclaim it. It has not. It's stupid, but I'm like, that's such a great title, So I just keep stealing from the French. What are they gonna do? Can't get me. So yeah.
Why did you choose
The the Future Days album. Yeah. I don't know. You put on Moonshake. I think people think that is true. It's not a side. I've listened to it all. Just listen. But the Con album I listen to all the time. But I think those are his covers, so I just keep that.
Do you listen to music when you draw?
I listen to like rhythm-based stuff, so that's why I love Kraut rock. And not doing some stuff, but I like music a lot because you can just kind of zone out. And I feel like that's best ideas. So.
What's the blank page like for you?
Oh, it's hell. it's torture a little bit. Well, like if I know I have a plan, and that's why like actually sitting down and writing is a good thing. If I know I have a plan, it's not that bad. But when it's just sort of like, oh, I have to like this is like a page in between scenes that I want to draw, that sucks. When I have to draw like a building or a car or like a tree, I'm like, no, I want to be drawing like women doing things. So that's why I don't have a whole lot of like gap pages where it's like exposition or anything. I'm just like, nah, just get right to what I want to draw. Because again, it's like I don't have that much time.
Sure.
Doing this after work.
Yeah.
I'm not going for it. Let's do what I want to do. But I think blank pages is always intimidating to me. Like no matter what level I'm at, where I get to, what pages or anything, it's just always hard.
Since you're doing these as mini comics, you got to think in 4s or 8s or either way. That's how the page breaks down.
Yeah. Are
you laying out that issue by issue, story by story? What's your general approach?
It's mostly story by story. Yeah, like, well, I'll kind of know, okay, this book, I want it to be like, or one that I'm working on now, I'm like, I want it to be 2 pages. I want to do something long. And so you have to start planning like, okay, this issue is going to be is again. So yeah, just kind of taking it like chunk by chunk by chunk. And when I do it that way, it's a lot easier, like to just be like, okay, this 20 pages is done. That means that like fifth of the way there, and then soon I'll be 3/5 of the way there, and just like constantly trick yourself so it's not like torturous.
Do you do thumbnails?
Yeah, they're very basic, super gestural, and I think better than. It's so frustrating because the first time you put pencil to paper, the first idea is the best idea, and use it, and that's why I just want to do it.
Right.
Izzy, what's up? My secret thumbnails. They're also like totally insane. They look best to me. But, it's like let's say you have like one like a kid. Oh, I love that kid. Yeah, that's like how I feel about my thumbnails. Not a way. That's idea I have.
So when you thumbnail out an issue, you're doing 20 pages. How long does it take you to break down 20 pages? Is that a week? Is that 2 days? Is that one frenzied 4 a.m. like, oh my God, I'm just rolling, Yeah.
I hate that it is, but when it works, it works, yeah. And it's just
do you wake up the next morning and how did I just draw here?
No, you know what? Like I can tap back into it easily.
Okay.
The hardest thing for me is like when I have a story idea at like 2:00, something like if I don't write it down, like it's gone forever. So now I have like a note, just crazy stuff, or on my phone, like phone says like detective, cigarette, Godard. Like what? What was I up to? Like, and that's just gone. So I'm trying to be better about like, Katie, write a sentence. Like, just do sentence and see if it's a challenge.
What percentage of those kind of spontaneous ideas do you find you actually using and fleshing out?
I would say like 60%.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I feel like at this point it's like I've looked at enough and I've read enough and like I've figured out what I like, and so I feel like at this point I'm not gonna like throw any curveballs at myself. Like if it's something that I thought of, like it's probably something that I want to do. At least if I wrote it down, it's probably something that I want to do. So yeah.
So
I mean, what? Yeah.
The beginning, you think it's just some other entity. Yeah, but I was just stabbing. Stabbing. So, change. So,
Yeah, I get you. Well, I think like going back to looking at horror, and this is my first time where I wanted to sure to element work is my favorite horror. So that's just kind of back to genre. And I think in all work that I do, there's always like an outside force that never quite And I think that I would kind of rather guessing story is something that wraps up nicely. Because that's my like personal preference. Did he have an iPhone?
Love the evil pirate.
Oh yeah. Sure.
I just want to say, you know, like I just kind of appreciate that you are just,
well, because I have stories.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, I'm not like logged on to Wonder Woman, but like, you know, you have her. She's doing stuff, and Superwoman, and they're great. They're doing good stuff for people. But for me, it's like the again, it just goes back to like what I like reading or what I like watching or like seeing is just I like seeing being able to act they want to, and I like being able to write that because there's so many times when I just flip out and I don't get to, and being able to channel all of that stuff it back in the book is like it's almost as for me. And I hope way a little I don't project that stuff on. But yeah, just I think that it's good to have a complicated view. But I don't think it's. I mean, I hope it's not something that just comes out as like misogynistic or crazy. Like women are so bad, you know. You gotta put a stop to. I think with Clover, like her story is very complicated. History is very complicated. You get a certain empathy, not sympathy, but certain empathy for it. She has to still.
Yeah, no, I just kind of very true. But when I super
It's kind of too simple to be characters that are doing time.
Yeah.
You know? People read that.
That's true.
I don't mean to say that people don't read that, but you know, it's easy though to cross that line when getting into the Mary Sue, where it's just the characters are phenomenally perfect and everything they do is amazing and everyone thinks that they're great, and which is fine wish fulfillment. That's not actually how human beings are or act.
Yeah, and it's also like I don't want to like a parable, or I don't want to read like something that it's supposed to be instructive or something. Like I would read. I don't like you know I like things that get messy and get complicated and find a way to express.
Have you given your comics to your parents? Obviously,
no.
Okay.
My mom like knows I'm on tour and everything, and she knows like she claims she doesn't know how to read comics, and I'm like that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. And I don't know what my dad thinks about that, which is funny because he's the one that like got told and started. But yeah, no, I don't ever.
Really?
Well, they're so you know they are hard. They simply have they really tried.
Sure.
You know, and I just feel a little bit like I've like with the subject matter that I take on, but at the same time, it's like I wouldn't be so attracted to it if it had been like forbidden to me ever.
Sure.
You know? Yeah, but no, we have like total dissonance there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think they'd like your though because their daughter is doing something that's creative and she's making not a living from it per se, but you're making money from creating art. And people want to fly you into other cities and talk to you.
Very cool.
And that is not a thing that happens for most people.
Yeah, no,
in their
for
lives,
sure.
you know?
No, for sure. And they know, like, this is something that's unusual and like an achievement and like extraordinary in its own, way. But I don't think they need to like know what necessarily like, I think they're definitely
You don't think
proud.
your parents like Google you? They know what the content.
I have to tell you something about my mother. She has an iPhone that she keeps in her kitchen cabinet, and she takes it out on weekends.
Okay.
She's not Googling.
Okay.
Like, she's set. My dad has an iPad that he uses to like send me videos about like Philadelphia Eagles. Like, he's
All right.
set.
All right.
I don't think they're super logged on. They might be. But again, it's like we're set. We don't need to talk about it. Thanksgiving is hard enough. You don't need this like element, So yeah, but yeah, no, I think they're supportive in their own way.
Sure. I'll try and say that.
No, yeah.
Did the one I want to ask you about, particularly because newsstand and newsstand magazines, did you see Vampirella growing up?
No, I didn't.
You didn't? Okay.
No, that only just got on my radar in like the last.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, because they like redesigned her costume,
Mm-hmm.
and there was like a whole,
Right.
like hullabaloo. Like, I'm not like super up to speed on comics in general. I would like to be, but I get so like obsessed with one thing at a time that it's hard to like get out and get into.
We were talking
stuff.
earlier, and like I gave you the little tour.
Yeah, I know who they are.
Like you knew who everybody was,
Yeah.
which is actually way more than a lot of cartoonists. I have to tell you, you're like, oh yeah.
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 But that doesn't mean I know everything they've done.
Sure. Don't undersell yourself though. You were pretty plugged in.
Yeah.
I thought.
Well, like, here's the thing. Like, you know how, like, one time Mariah Carey gave this interview and they asked her about Jennifer Lopez, and she said, "I don't know her." Yeah, 3 times. like the denial of Peter. She knows who Jennifer Lopez is, but she doesn't know. What she said later is like, "I don't know everything about Jennifer Lopez.
Sure.
I haven't met her, whatever." So when I say I don't know something, I'm invoking Saint Mariah to say I just don't know their whole thing, But it's like I know the game. I know no,
you were giving me some positives on way more obscure than Neil frickin' Game.
I know. Yeah. But it's also it's cool. I don't know. Comics is cool and exciting, and there's so much to learn, and it's like so much to know all the time. I wish that.
So did you, when you first saw Vampirella, did you see it after you had started on the book or prior to?
After, yeah, and I think old costumes. I don't know one like Mariah since I just haven't read it.
Sure.
But yeah, do you know what I'm into now?
I was actually thinking more of the 70s stuff, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it has a very certain sensibility in terms of its storytelling. It's the way that it approaches telling a story that I feel is echoed. I think is echoed in this because you're echoing film that was all from sort of the same time period. They all sort of approach story in the same way. I wouldn't want even like expect you to know anything about what happened in last month's issue of Vampirella. Like I don't know that. I own a comic store.
Do you know what like I think of when I think of like old school Vampirella is just like those like paintings of her just like holding a sword and like invoking like lightning and shit, and it's like totally like Rosetta or like Vallejo crazy stuff, and you're like, this is awesome. Like that's what I like see doing. So like see her doing stuff. I don't know her.
The old ones had just crazy from these amazing Filipino artists. Esteban Barreto and guys like that who just put this insane level of like crafty detail into the work. The stories are all uniformly terrible, but like visually, it's a pretty amazing comic. I remember like my dad had Vampirella comics in his library,
Nice.
and I would like sneak in and kind of look at them, and they would make me feel really, because I was like 8 years old and I
Yeah.
like, didn't understand what it really was that I was
like it.
looking for, in
Yeah.
this dental floss costume,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, from a storytelling point of view, I feel like there's a certain level of similarity, though it's probably the movies is where you're.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm into now? Like in the same, it feels like the same sort of thing. I'm really into Electra now. Like I got really into Electra Assassin. I'd never read it for like last year. It's so good. Like Bill Sienkiewicz. Who knew? No, it's legendary. But there was just something about like that combination of him and Frank Miller, just like, and you read about like the way that they worked, and they were just like totally in sync with each other, and nobody ever said no to the other one. Like, how cool would it be to work with? So like that's something that's kind of too. Just like, what if I took a little bit of the pressure off me, having to figure everything out, and like somebody else figured it out, and we could just work together.
Well,
So maybe I should work on.
When you were saying earlier, oh, what am I going to start doing Marvel Comics? I actually, there was like a little part of my brain that went, oh, I see how that works. Like, not you drawing Marvel Comics, because Marvel wouldn't hire you to draw their comics, because there's they have to have craft is what they do.
Yeah.
Craft.
But wouldn't it be funny if I tried to do that?
You could write Marvel Comics. You totally could.
Yeah, I think that would be. That would. Anyway, send a couple. See what happens. Yeah.
I love it.
Together. I got stuff to
do it. More questions from the room? Anything before I wrap? Yeah, please. You just fashion sense. And that's kind of I am sort of
a lot of it is just like, it's just stuff that like I want, and so I just draw it. Yeah, but it does kind of always seem stuck. Time, what's like the magic, like it's what. So yeah, clothes come out of that. And I like my comic stuff. I like to. I think like sometimes with stuff that you see out, it's like, oh, this just looks like it's from. I want my stuff to look like.
So.
Yeah.
But you didn't. Love it. Didn't catch it. Love it. Yeah, love it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I always draw I like my long spaghetti hair. Main characters, I long, really thick. Sometimes I've tried, it just doesn't. I want it to look like Leiji Matsumoto hair, or like me personally, but it turns out it's like physically not possible, so I have to draw it on everybody. But it's just like, it's such a good design. So much.
So, what's coming up next?
Well, I'm working on a compilation of all the erotic stuff that I did. So all the Agent Comics stuff I did, Sluttis, some other like new things, putting that together. I'm working on writing a new piece that I was talking about. It's called Some Science, and it's about sex. So that'll be fun. And I really want to like set it in California. Like I want to have my like California like pensiony story. So like I'm writing that, and yeah, and then Torn, fun, yeah.
So the erotic stuff is that you have a publisher?
Yeah, we haven't announced it yet. We haven't announced it. But you like,
but yes,
probably guess.
But yes, you have a publisher,
and
and there's a plan. Okay,
yes,
very good, very good,
yeah.
very good.
And it's. I really want it to look like a crappy like 70s magazine too. So a lot of.
How big of a package is it?
It's not going to be too big. I think it'll probably be about maybe 100 pages or so. Yeah. But I think it's pretty like wild stuff, so that'll be fun. That'll be really fun to that comes out.
Have you given any thought to serializing production in a mainstream way rather than a mini comic way?
Yeah, but it's like I would have to. I feel like that's when I would have to start working with the company and like meeting deadlines and doing all that stuff. And not that I can't do that now, but it's just it's difficult. Like I need flexibility and to be able to put something out on like a bi-monthly basis, like it just doesn't feel possible right now. But it would be great to.
Do you think it would increase your production, or do you think you paralyze yourself?
Like 6 of them. Like I think it would be really good because, like I said, when I'm in a crunch, that ends up being the best time for like my drawing.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah, but also like I need to be able to put like nouns, verb, do all the things that I need to do at work and like some parents. So yeah, that would be tough. I'd have to rearrange some things, for sure.
Towards full time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Disappear from the market for 2 years between books. It's hard.
Yeah.
I'm encouraging you. That's what I'm trying.
Yeah. No. Thank you. No.
That's what I'm trying to do.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, the way that I'm working now, I can take 3 years off. I can disappear for 3 years.
Sure.
And, you know. So
Ish.
yeah. See what.
Oh, Sarah.
Do you have a website?
Yeah, no, it's Katie Skelly. Like, not everything is like published on there. Like,
Everyone should.
log on.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else from the audience, no. I want to thank you for this book.
Thank you.
I think we enjoyed it tremendously. Yes.
Thanks, guys.
There we go. Very good. Very good. And yeah, we absolutely want to encourage you to keep doing more. And yeah, this was a treat. Our next month's book, just so that you all know, is Pantheon by Hamish or Hamish. Hamish. It's probably Hamish. Here on 19 book club, so 9/13 your next thing, and we've also this book. Not 10 weeks, Jesus. If you guys want to pick up your copy of Pantheon, Doug will help you with that, and we'll take your name. Sure that happens just fine. Katie will be happy to sign and customize your book in just a second here. Very good. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for watching at home. Another fantastic cartoonist with a fantastic book, My Pretty Vampire. Buy a copy right now. We can sell it to you too, but find a copy. Okay. Thanks very much, and we'll talk to you next month.